PodBear, pode falar. PodBear, pode falar. PodBear, pode falar.
Hello and welcome everyone. I am Miss Julie. I'm a teacher here at PodBear Marília and I'm super excited about today's episode.
I'm a student who has been here since the starting years, now in middle years.
Today we are welcoming two amazing Canadian trainers who work closely with our teachers here at school. We have Miss Lee, who specializes in elementary and early childhood, and we also have Miss Joan, who focuses on middle years. And today we will explore how they work with our teachers and help us in our day-to-day life here at school.
So let's start by getting to know a little bit about our amazing professionals behind the scenes of our teachers' development.
Well, my name is Lee Howard, and I have had a wonderful career in Canada, teaching for about 30 years, everything from babies right through to adults. I've enjoyed every minute, and I've learned so much from being a teacher. So I was thrilled to get to work with PodBear and come to Brazil. It's been just the amount I learn from coming to the PodBear schools is nothing, I don't think, compared to what I give to them. So I live in Vancouver, which is in the west of Canada. It's warmer there. We don't get quite as much snow, and it's not quite as cold. I have two children and a grandbaby who live in Australia, and I'm just really happy to be here.
And my name is Joan, and I've enjoyed almost 32 years as an educator in Canada. Similar to Lee, I've done everything from a teacher to a math consultant to a principal and a system principal. And the areas I've really focused on have been special education and math and science. Those are the parts of education I'm very passionate about. And when I discovered PodBear, it was an opportunity for me to really showcase some of the best parts of the Canadian methodology, which is why I love PodBear. I live in the capital city of Canada, Ottawa, and it's very cold in the winter, and we get a lot of snow, which is why I like to visit Vancouver when I get a chance, because it's not uncommon to get a meter of snow in one day and it to be minus 20, minus 25. But we have a lot of fun in the snow. We ski, we snowshoe, we skate, and we have great summers too. So it's a fantastic place to live. Something I particularly love about PodBear is the opportunity to explore all of the different parts of Brazil and all the different regions. It reminds me a lot of Canada, the way that the Brazilian culture celebrates family and music and festivals and people getting together. It reminds me a lot of Canada, but the weather here is definitely nicer than in Ottawa.
And if I could just add that part of the curriculum of PodBear that most attracts me is the fact that they really put a big emphasis on play all through the years. I think that play is something that we all need. Right from childhood through to adulthood, it helps our brains to develop and grow and keep developing and grow as we age. We learn from play, and most of all, it's a way to have fun and really enjoy life. So I think PodBear really got it right by having such an emphasis on play.
Absolutely, and if I can add on to that, Lee, I think the student-centered education, particularly at middle years and beyond, really focuses on student voice. I mean, what we're doing now is a perfect representation of honoring student voice, where students are leading a podcast. We were at a beautiful assembly this morning that the students had led the entire assembly. It's so important for students to have a voice and to listen to the opinions, and for the students to think critically about the information that they get, because they're living in a world that's very different from when I was at school, and they're being inundated with information from social media, from the internet, from now AI. It's not enough just to know information. They really need to think critically about it and to understand the information that they're consuming to make them global thinkers.
Amazing, yeah. Actually, I was thinking about this, about asking you, how does the Canadian methodology and curriculum come to life here in Brazil? And if you could walk us through maybe a project or something about the way teachers plan that it would be different from Brazil or from what traditional schools do in Brazil. Could you walk us through some of these examples that really spark this Canadian methodology, and we actually use it here in Brazil as well?
Well, I think one of the things I think is difficult for Brazilian children to understand is our seasons, because it's so different from Brazil. We have such distinct weather in our winter from our fall, in our spring, in our summer. So I think that's tricky. And I was in a grade 1 classroom, and they were talking about winter, and the teacher was reading a book called Thomas's Snowsuit. And in Thomas's Snowsuit, little Thomas doesn't want to put his snowsuit on and go outside. And so the teacher, who was very creative, had actually brought in a snowsuit that would fit the children who were in the class. So every child got to try on what it was like to put on this snowsuit, because it's not always easy to put them on. They're from head to toe, and you put your legs in, and then you kind of squeeze into the arms, and then zip it right up. And they're not the most comfortable things, but they do keep you warm. So I was really impressed that these children got the experience of putting that on and feeling what it would be like to be outside in one of these. But it was about 30 degrees the day they were trying it on, so we had air conditioning on full blast.
And that's actually something that surprised me today, or even yesterday, that where I'm from, you wear your winter coat and your hat when it's -20. And yesterday the students were wearing winter coats and hats, and it was 10. So that's a little bit different than in Canada. But
in Vancouver we do too.
Absolutely, we're the tough ones in Ottawa. And adding on to what Lee said, when we think about student-centered education, we really want to start where the students are at in their understanding, and I think that's something that is unique to Maple Bear, and it really represents the Canadian methodology, is that we start with what the students' interests are and what their understandings are, and it starts with where the students are at, and that's where the teacher starts the planning, not the other way around. It doesn't start with the teacher planning and then providing it. It starts with where the students are at. We call that asset-based learning. So we start with where the students' understandings, we want to engage them, we want to find things that are interesting to you, motivating to you, and it becomes particularly important in middle years as the students move through, because again, it honors the student voice when we're really understanding what motivates the students to learn, and it brings a local and global context to everything as well.
Well, thinking about classroom culture and differences in classroom culture, even how students learn and how society as a whole view education, what do you think are some of the biggest challenges when bringing a Canadian curriculum to a Brazilian context? Has there ever been a moment where you've seen a group of students or teachers trying to make something work out, and you've stopped and thought, let's take a step back, how can we make this work here? Because it's so different, our context, from Canadian culture, right?
Well, I just see teachers working so hard to make it work in the classrooms and to adapt the materials to the understanding of the students. I think that the Maple Bear teachers just have this desire and aspiration to make the curriculum real to the children, and so there's lots of experiments and there's lots of hands-on activities and just so many things. But I think one of the things that I see that is difficult is when in math working with money, because the books are in Canadian money, but the students really need to know about EIs, right?
Yeah.
And so I think that a lot of teachers have really gone out of their way to make Canadian money real, but also making sure that the students really understand the Brazilian money. And it is nice because it's both a decimal system, so there is commonalities between them. So, but I think that is a tricky part.
Yeah, I observed that as well this week with a year 7 teacher when you were learning about the metric system and actually it was year 6, with place value and the way that the Canadian system separates all of the different units is with spaces, and in the Brazil imperial system there's commas, and so the teacher did a really good job of explaining, well, in Canada they do it this way, in Brazil they do it this way, because although it is a Canadian methodology, these schools are Brazilian schools, and so this isn't an international school. I mean, it's again another example how to honor the local traditions and culture, because we want the students to be exposed to the Canadian money system, but they live in Brazil. So I mean, so to make those connections very real for the students and to use them in really meaningful ways, And something else I also really love is the focus on all the different festivals. And I know Festa Junina is coming up. I've had the privilege of being at a couple of schools for that, with the great food and the music. And I think it's really important to understand that, the students are curious about Canada, but they're Brazilian students and they're so proud of their culture and heritage.
And the one thing I really appreciate is that in so many schools, and I know yours is one of them, is the appreciation that you show for the Terry Fox run and the money raising that goes along with that. I think Terry Fox is one of our Canadian heroes, and he deserves to be celebrated throughout the world. And I'm really happy that Maple Bear in Brazil has taken that on.
Yeah, I agree. Here, everyone loves Terry Fox.
Yes. He was just added to the $5 bill in Canada, actually. Yes.
And it's 50 years this year.
Yes, and there's a picture of him in our passport now, too.
Mm-hmm. Yes, there is.
Everyone needs to know.
Yes.
Yes.
Who knew when he started that? Because, we were around when he was alive and when he was doing his Marathon of Hope. I'm sure he had no idea when he did that the long-lasting legacy globally and the impact that it would have. And it's just so beautiful to see the students in Brazil inspired by him.
That's really something. Well, now we're going to do something very fun. We're going to do a quick lightning round with our guests. So, Julia will ask.
So, what was your first Portuguese word that you learned, and how did you learn it?
Well, I learned 2 fairly quickly. One was tudo bem,
That's good.
and then I had to figure out how to answer it. But the other word was gostoso. Gostoso?
Like tasty?
Delicious, tasty. And so those, on my first trip in 2019, those were my favorite words.
And for me, also food themed. My first word was bom dia, because everyone kept saying that to me, so I thought I should learn that and find out what it means. And brigadeiro was the second one, because one of the TAs at the very first school I worked at, her grandmother had made some and brought them in, and I thought, I'm in the right country. Like, these are delicious.
E brigadeiro é gostoso.
Yeah.
There you go.
I love my grandmother's brigadeiro. It's very good.
So delicious. I love that.
Actually, Ms. Vivi brought us brigadeiro that she made today.
It's very good.
It's so
It
good.
was delicious.
Delicious, yes.
And already adding, what Brazilian food do you love? Except from brigadeiro.
Except for brigadeiro.
Yes.
Pão de queijo,
I love it.
delicious. Romeo and Juliet is another favorite.
I don't think
We
I've
love
had
it.
that.
Cheese with
Guava paste.
guava paste.
Oh, I haven't had
Yes,
that.
very nice.
When I was in Minas Gerais, I learned to love pastels. Every kind of cheese, meat, beef, artichoke, like all of them. I love them all.
In Minas Gerais, doce de leite is good. How can I
Yes,
say
have you
it?
tried it? We usually say dulce de leite in
Dulce de
Spanish.
leche,
It's
yes.
very good
It's
from
lovely,
Minas Gerais. Yeah, it's the
yes.
best one.
There's a lot of
Forbidden,
cheese there
okay.
too.
Yes.
Here in Marília, we have a very traditional pastel that is made with egg. It's a fried egg, so it's circle.
Oh, I haven't
It's a
had
circle,
that.
yeah.
I don't really like
So
egg,
it's
but my
different.
sister loves that pastel.
Okay.
Yes.
It's different than from other parts of the
Okay,
country.
good to know.
Yeah.
And
Look for that.
could you share a funny or unexpected moment you've had at the school?
At one of the
You could
first
choose.
schools I
You could
went
choose.
to, there was a little girl in bear care who was having a hard time coming into school and crying and crying and crying. And then she saw me and she said, "Avo." She thought was it Avo or Ava?
Ava.
Ava. She thought I was her grandmother.
Oh,
And so I took her from the mom and brought her into the classroom, and we played, and
That's cute.
she was happy. So for a couple of days, I met them on the way in, and so I have a grandchild in Brazil.
you knew. One more reason to come back. Yes.
Sweet memory.
For me, there's two actually. One of the schools I was at, when the principal, we were on our way out for lunch, and when she went to open the gate to leave, the gate was covered in monkeys, and I thought, that you would never see that in Canada. So I was taking pictures, and she said she said that when we came back from lunch, she said, make sure you roll up the window of the car because I don't want to come out to a car full of monkeys. And I thought that's definitely a Brazil problem.
Yeah.
And then on that theme, another school I was at, it was during science class, and they were learning about habitats, and a little gecko, a little mini lizard, crawled in through the window and was running along the floor. And this teacher, being a teacher, started talking about, I wonder what habitat is the classroom a good habitat for this little lizard. And teacher made a teaching moment out of it. But again, that's definitely not something that we would ever find in Canada.
No.
Amazing.
And something you've learned from Brazilian students.
The most important thing that I have learned from Brazilian students is that the best soccer players come from Brazil.
Yes.
Very important.
Yes, that's important.
Pele, Ronaldo, Ronaldinho, right?
Yes.
But most important, Marta,
Yes.
the female soccer champion of Brazil.
Yes. So I love to talk to you all. I learned so much about you and what goes on the behind the scenes of the curriculum.
Thank you so much. Well done.
This has been a pleasure. and
Absolutely.
I congratulate you on your English. It's
Yes. This is my first podcast in Brazil. Yes.
It's my first podcast ever.
I
You
hope
need to
you
get out more.
enjoyed.
You're right.
Yeah, many to come. I hope everyone listening really appreciated our podcast today. It was a very special episode, and have learned as much as we have from these amazing Canadian trainers that we have here today. Thank you, everyone, and goodbye. See you next time.
Bye. Ciao,
Thank
ciao.
you. Bye.